Ever heard of Stephen King's The Shining? The chilling Overlook Hotel? Well, what if I told you the real story is even creepier? The inspiration came from a real place. The Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado. And one room in particular, room 217, is the epicenter of its paranormal activity. This isn't just a horror movie plot. It's a true American horror story. Back in 1911, a massive gas explosion rocked the Stanley Hotel during a storm. The head chambermaid, Elizabeth Wilson, was lighting the acetylene lanterns in room 217 when it happened. The blast sent her crashing through the floor into the dining room below. Miraculously, she survived with just broken ankles, but here's where it gets strange. Elizabeth Wilson never truly left. After her death, years later, guests and staff started reporting bizarre occurrences in room 217. They would find their clothes unpacked and put away. Items would move on their own. An unseen force would make their beds or tidy their rooms. It's said that Elizabeth Wilson, a dedicated and old-fashioned housekeeper, continues her duties from beyond the grave, but she seems to have a particular dislike for unmarried couples sharing a bed. Many have reported feeling a cold presence wedge itself between them at night. It's as if Mrs. Wilson is enforcing her old-school morals from the afterlife. Can you imagine waking up to an invisible chaperone? One of the most famous guests to experience this was, you guessed it, Stephen King himself. He and his wife Tabitha stayed in room 217 in 1974. They were the only guests, as the hotel was about to close for the winter. That night, King had a terrifying nightmare about his young son being chased down the hotel's long, empty corridors by a fire hose. He woke up in a cold sweat, and the idea for The Shining was born right there in that haunted room. But King isn't the only celebrity to have an encounter. Actor Jim Carrey also stayed in room 217 while filming Dumb and Dumber. He reportedly checked into the room but fled in the middle of the night, refusing to ever speak about what he experienced. He was so terrified that he checked out completely and never returned. What could have scared him so badly? Modern-day visitors continue to share their own chilling tales. People report hearing disembodied voices, phantom footsteps echoing in the empty hallway, and lights turning on and off by themselves. Some have even captured strange anomalies in their photos orbs, shadowy figures, and unexplained mists. The hotel staff often find the furniture in room 217 rearranged overnight, even when the room has been vacant and locked. The Stanley Hotel fully embraces its haunted reputation. They offer ghost tours and even have a dedicated paranormal investigator on staff. Room 217 remains their most requested room, with a waiting list that can be months or even years long. People from all over the world flock here, hoping to experience a bit of the supernatural for themselves. So, is it all just an elaborate story, inspired by a master of horror? Or is Elizabeth Wilson still tending to her beloved room 217, making her presence known to those who dare to stay? The countless stories from credible witnesses suggest something truly unexplained is happening within those walls. The line between fiction and reality blurs at the Stanley Hotel, leaving us to wonder what secrets it still holds. What do you think? Would you be brave enough to spend a night in room 217? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more true horror stories. Stay curious. Have you ever wondered if the chilling tales from horror movies could be real? What if I told you that one of the most iconic horror stories of all time, Stephen King's The Shining, was inspired by a very real and very haunted hotel room? Today, we're checking into the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado, and unlocking the secrets of the infamous room 217. This isn't just a story. It's a deep dive into the true American horror story that continues to terrify guests to this day. Before we even get to room 217, let's talk about the hotel itself. Opened in 1909 by Freeland Oscar Stanley, the inventor of the Stanley steamer car. This majestic hotel was a symbol of modern luxury, but from its earliest days, whispers of strange occurrences echoed through its grand hallways. Staff and guests reported flickering lights, disembodied laughter, and shadowy figures. It seems the Stanley Hotel was destined for a haunted reputation long before Hollywood came knocking. The story that put room 217 on the map happened back in 1911. A severe storm knocked out the hotel's power, forcing the staff to light the backup gas lanterns. A head chambermaid named Elizabeth Wilson entered room 217, unaware that there was a gas leak. When she lit a match, the room exploded. The blast was so powerful it sent her crashing through the floor into the dining room below. Miraculously, she survived with only broken ankles. But here's where it gets spooky. Elizabeth Wilson never truly left. After her death, years later, guests and staff began reporting bizarre activities in room 217, all pointing back to her. People would find their bags unpacked and their clothes neatly folded and put away. Shoes would be arranged in perfect order. It's said that Elizabeth is a very old-fashioned housekeeper and doesn't approve of unmarried couples sharing a bed. Some couples have even reported feeling a cold force pushing them apart during the night. She's not malicious, just particular. A ghostly maid who still takes her job very, very seriously. Now, let's bring in the master of horror himself, Stephen King. In 1974, King and his wife Tabitha checked into the Stanley Hotel for a one-night stay. It was late in the season, and they were the only guests. They were given the keys to room 217. That night, King had a terrifying nightmare. He dreamt that his young son was being chased through the hotel's long, empty corridors by a fire hose that had come to life. He woke up in a cold sweat, heart pounding. He got up, went to the balcony for a smoke, and by the time he finished his cigarette, the basic plot for The Shining was fully formed in his mind. The fire hose King dreamt about. It's a real feature of the Stanley Hotel's hallways. The long, winding corridors. They're just as eerie in real life as they are in the book. King experienced firsthand the unsettling atmosphere of the nearly empty hotel, an isolation that became a central theme in his novel. He felt the history, the energy, and maybe even the presence of Elizabeth Wilson herself. Room 217 wasn't just a room. It was the catalyst for a masterpiece of modern horror. Of course, Elizabeth Wilson isn't the only spirit said to roam the Stanley. The hotel's original owners, Freeland and Flora Stanley, are often seen and heard. Flora's antique Steinway piano can sometimes be heard playing in the middle of the night, even though the concert hall is locked. Mr. Stanley himself is often spotted in the lobby and the billiard room, keeping a watchful eye on his beloved hotel. Guests have even snapped photos where his ghostly apparition appears, clear as day. And then there's the fourth floor. This entire floor, once the servants' quarters, is known for the sounds of children running, laughing, and playing. Guests report hearing the distinct sounds of little feet pounding down the hallway, only to open their door and find nothing there. Some even feel a small tug on their clothes, as if a child is trying to get their attention. The most famous of these child spirits is said to be a boy who calls out for his nanny. These playful but mischievous spirits add another layer to the hotel's paranormal tapestry. But let's return to room 217. What is it about this specific room? Is it just the lingering spirit of a dedicated chamber, or is there something more? Paranormal investigators who have spent the night there have recorded drastic temperature drops, strange electronic voice phenomena or EVPs, and objects moving on their own. They've captured audio of a woman's voice, believed to be Elizabeth, whispering. Doors open and close, lights flicker, and the feeling of being watched is constant. Even famous skeptics have left the Stanley Hotel with a different perspective. Actor Jim Carrey stayed in room 217 while filming Dumb and Dumber. According to reports, he checked in but fled the room in the middle of the night and refused to ever go back, never explaining what he experienced. What could possibly terrify a man like Jim Carrey so much that he'd abandon his stay? The hotel staff remain tight-lipped, but the story has become a legend. The Stanley Hotel fully embraces its haunted legacy. They offer ghost tours, paranormal investigations, and even have a dedicated channel in every room playing Stanley Kubrick's film adaptation of The Shining on a constant loop, even though King famously disliked it. The hedge maze, a famous feature from the movie, was even installed on the hotel grounds in recent years, further blurring the line between fiction and reality. So, is room 217 truly a portal to the other side? Or is it simply a place with a powerful story that feeds our imagination? Thousands of guests who have stayed there would argue it's very, very real. They've felt the cold spots, seen the flickering lights, and found their luggage mysteriously arranged. They've felt that invisible presence that makes the hair on your arms stand up. The story of Room 217 is a perfect storm of history, tragedy, and creative genius. It's a reminder that sometimes the most terrifying stories aren't the ones made up for the screen, but the ones that are whispered in the halls of real places, waiting for the next guest to check in. Would you be brave enough to spend a night in Room 217 with Elizabeth Wilson as your personal, spectral housekeeper? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining me on this spooky journey into the real story behind The Shining. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our next dive into the unknown. Until next time, stay curious.